What is going on there, citizens of the Reject Nation? Greg here today. John, how's it going?
Quantastic.
Guys, we are going to talk today about the Antman and the Wasp Quantumania mid-credit scene. When I said in our non-spoiler review that it felt like an SNL sketch, there's a lot of question marks to why I said that. And now while I see that there's a lot of people who love this mid-credit scene, and there's a lot of people who really don't like the mid-credit scene as well, I want to say specifically why today we did not really jive with this mid-credit scene. The post-credit scene, good, nice clip that they played, but the mid-credit scene was the one that definitely raised some eyebrows. We just got to go into it. It's the first order of business. If you're here, leave a like or a dislike or a comment. Just engage with the video in some way. Who cares how you do it? Just be honest. Now let's dive right into it. First thing I want to say is, yes, I understand. I said it in our non-spoiler, and I'll say it again. The context of what this mid-credit scene represents and what it's setting up, totally cool. In fact, before this movie came out, this was a big theorized what might be in the mid-credit scene, and sure enough, it came to fruition. So I was like, yeah, I'm not surprised to see it. But when it played out, I'm talking specifically about how the scene is handled. That's what had me the most concerned and what made me cringe kind of the most when watching this film and had some audible laughs at our screening. At the end of this movie, not going to do a full ending explain or recap here. Kang gets taken down by a bunch of ants that were set up really late in the film. He gets taken down by a bunch of ants and then eventually gets fully taken down by Antman and Wasp. He gets like stuck in the quantum realm. But according to this mid-credit scene, he's dead. He's dead because in this mid-credit scene, what do we see? We see Ramatut. We see Immortus, and I think it's either like Prime Gang or Scarlet Centurion or maybe some new Future Kang that Ramatut does say must upset you that you weren't the one to kill him, but they do confirm that the exiled one is dead. Now, when they first start showing up on screen, I did not think it was cool. It actually read as goofy. And the reason why is this when you're seeing them. Again, contextually, it sounds like it would be the most awesome thing in the world. When you look at what Jonathan Majors did in Loki season 1 as He Who Remains, it's really effective, has a lot of presence, very ominous. There's a real mood. It's striking. And he really left an impression. And then in Kang the Conqueror in Quantumania, same thing. Very different portrayal, fully realized three-dimensional character. But then the second you start cutting to these three different Kangs, it doesn't feel lived in. It looks like Jonathan Majors in costume, in makeup. It's the first time it doesn't feel like he's being Kang, but acting. I could really feel like he's acting. That's what I meant by SNL sketch, of where you put an actor in costume and makeup and they're doing some surface notes of things. So it feels like they're playing versus being. It didn't really evoke a mood. It didn't really have a solid tone on it. It just read as cheesy and kind of like a Sony post-credit scene to me in that regard. I'm not even talking about the second half of what happened in this credit scene. I'm just talking about the introduction of this. While they're setting it up like, oh yeah, people on Earth are beginning to touch the multiverse and they can threaten all the work we've done. It's the interaction between them where I did not feel like I was looking at three different Kangs. I felt like they definitely had Jonathan Majors filmed 3 different times and they spliced it together. It was like watching Mike Myers and Austin Powers or Eddie Murphy in the Nutty Professor or Norbit films. That's more akin to what it felt like in that moment than it did feeling like I'm watching 3 completely different, fully realized characters. And that's where it was leading to cringe. But then they say, I haven't summoned them all or some shit like that. Tell them what happened, John.
Well, I mean, yeah, then they exit this little chamber that they're in and they go into this big arena where there are multiple Kangs appearing, teleporting in. There are already a ton of them surrounding this Coliseum, just cheering and hooting and hollering and awaiting the next phase of their plan now that the exiled one has been vanquished, so to speak. It really does continue with this weirdly comedic sense of either abandon or just not that much time and effort put into the sequence because, yeah, it does feel like they just pulled a bunch of costumes off a rack and said, hey, yeah, just, do a bunch of different things, whatever comes to mind, and we'll just drop them all in. And
they
it
behave
does
like frat boys.
Exactly. And the thing is, most all of them are behaving, it almost reminded me of like watching Space Jam, A New Legacy in a way where you have, just like a bunch of copies of a person in the background. They're all just kind of like behaving what appears to be sort of the same way, so it undercuts the variance quality, and it makes it feel like a cartoon in a way that doesn't suit things, because if you look at the original comic book panel, there is a whimsy to this whole Council of Kangs, this Coliseum of Kangs, and there is, I think, room for quirkiness within that. But it just feels silly rather than quirky or, imposing or anything like that. And it feels like you're just in a green screen warehouse rather than some otherworldly environment or, some great citadel where big machinations are being planned out,
The introduction in the comic is very different to the moment that they are definitely hearkening to, because the Kang that we're following in that comic, he's first brought pretty much into a very dark room, and he's like, who am I surrounded by? Who's there? And then it's revealed, and there's like a shit ton of Kangs. That strikes something menacing. Even though it can look a little bit silly at first, it's like, oh, this is a shock. And versus what they do here, which just played goofy. To me, it kind of reads into the issues that I had with the last parts of this film with Kang the Conqueror in the finale of this film. To me, what makes Kang so threatening is not the fact that he's a superpowered individual, it's the fact that he's a super brain individual. He's highly, highly intelligent. That's where a lot of his mastery of time and being able to navigate, get a leg up on foreshadowing. He's always like 50 billion steps ahead and whatnot. And he's just become so goon reliant. And then the way this mid-credit scene made it feel is like, okay, so the threat is not really a Kang or a couple of Kangs. It's the fact there's a large quantity of them. There should just be like one badass. Like having multiple Kangs is great. I think that's a great call, and there's a lot of story you can do with that, and a lot of great things you can pull into to enhance the threat and the menace. Absolutely. There should be a primary Kang, though. I'm not just meaning Prime Kang. I'm talking about there should be a primary Kang who is just that much of a high-level evil genius who is truly the embodiment of the Conqueror. And that's what you feel threatened by, not the fact that there's a shit ton of them and then 99% of them feel like a bunch of dumbasses or just like, oh yeah.
Yeah, because then you cut there and you're like, you guys are the people we're going to have to be dealing with and afraid of for the rest of the phases of this, because from the outside going into the movie, it certainly seems like this is the stage to introduce the new big bad. And I don't mind a subversion, I don't mind leaving a movie going, oh damn, it's not what I expected. However, this doesn't give you anything new exactly to expect. And when you think back to Kevin Feige being like, oh man, all the different iterations of Jonathan Majors is going to be amazing, that could still work. But right now, this doesn't, the three you spend time with hearing them talk doesn't give you hope for seeing them again in any kind of way that'll leave an impact other than silliness. No. And the arena doesn't give you any other options either.
To me, I think a lot of people are ending this film going, it's okay that this Kang the Conqueror went down. I don't agree with how he went down. Just bottom line, I just don't agree with it. All right, I don't care if he's not the main bad Kang. Even a variant of Kang the Conqueror is so bad who's been exiled. He shouldn't be going down like this. You see him in He Who Remains in Loki season 1, and then, he dies. People are like, don't worry, guys, don't worry. The real big bad Kang is coming. Don't worry, the real big bad Kang's coming. And then he dies in Quantumania. And if people are like, don't worry, the real big bad Kang's coming. And then they have this post-credit scene, which was a really good post-credit scene. Mobius has a line in there where he's like, this is him? I thought he was supposed to be like super scary. And people are laughing in the theaters. It's a funny line, but it also made me go, that's how I felt about the mid-credit scene. That's what this movie should have made me feel like he should be scared. I should be feeling like how Loki's feeling in the scene, but instead I'm feeling like how Mobius is feeling in that scene. And so it's like, you watch a variant of Kang die enough, it makes it not scary anymore. I'm not a fan of the mid-credit scene. I don't like the execution of it, the idea of more Kangs coming. I feel like there's still time to improve upon it to truly make it something menacing, because some of those Thanos, stuff like, fine, I'll do it myself in Age of Ultron, that was goofy, but this is like exceptionally more goofy to me, honestly. Yeah.
Well, it's a whole scene of goofiness versus a shot.
But hey, that's just our opinion. What did you guys think? Did you love it? Did it excite you? Did you think it was silly? Did you think it was scary? What were your feelings on it? Leave your thoughts down below. Be sure to subscribe, leave a like, keep a lookout for our spoiler talk that we are doing this Saturday. See y'all soon.